Hariom, everybody.
Hariom. Om Sahana Bhavatu Sahanau Bhunaktu Sahaviryam Karavavahai Tejasvinavadhitamastoma Vidvishavahai. Om Shanti Shanti Shanti. Please join us in chanting the Atma Shatkam. Cetani naham na cha shrotra jive na cha grana netre na cha vyoma bhume na tejo na vayu Chidananda Rupa Shivoham Shivoham Chidananda Rupa Shivoham Shivoham Nacha Prana Sangyo Na Vai Panchavayu Nava Saptadhatu Nava Panchakosha Nava Panipada Nachopatstapayu Chidananda Rupa Shivoham Shivoham Chidananda Rupa Shivoham Shivoham Name Dvesharado Name Lobhamoho Mado Naiva Me Naiva Matsarya Bhava Na dharmo na chato na kamo na moksha Chidananda Rupa Shivoham Shivoham Chidananda Rupa Shivoham Shivoham Na punyam na papam na saukhyam na dukkam Na mantro na tirtham na veda na yajna Aham bhojanam naiva bhojyam na bhokta Chidananda Rupa Shivoham Shivoham Chidananda Rupa Shivoham Shivoham
न मे मृत्युशङ्का न मे जातिभेदा पिता नैव मे नैव माता न जन्म न बन्धु न मित्रं गुरुनैव शिष्यः चिदानन्दरूप शिवोऽहं शिवोऽहम् चिदानन्दरूप शिवोऽहं शिवोऽहम् अहं निर्विकल्पो निराकाररूपो विभुर्व्याप्य सर्वत्र सर्वेन्द्रियाणि सदा मे समत्वं न मुक्तिर्न बन्धः चिदानन्दरूप शिवोऽहं शिवोऽहम् चिदानन्दरूप शिवोऽहं शिवोऽहम् चिदानन्दरूप शिवोऽहं शिवोऽहम्.
Please join us in chanting verses 11 to 20 of the 12th chapter of the Bhagavad Gita.
अथैतदप्यशक्तोऽसि कर्तुं मद्योगमाश्रितः सर्वकर्मफलत्यागं ततः कुरु यतात्मवान् श्रेयो हि ज्ञानमभ्यासात् ज्ञानाध्यानं विशिष्यते ध्यानात् कर्मफलत्यागः त्यागाच्छाञ्जिरनन्तरम् अद्वेष्टा
सर्वभूतानां मैत्रः करुण एव च
निर्ममो निरहङ्कारः समदुःखसुखक्षमी सन्तुष्ट सततं योगी यथात्मा दृढनिश्चयः मय्यर्पितमनो बुद्धिः यो मद्भक्तः स मे प्रियः यस्मानो द्विजते लोकाः लोकानो द्विजते च यः हर्षामर्षभयोद्वेगैः मुक्तो यः स च मे प्रियः अनपेक्षः शुचिर्दक्षः उदासीनो गतव्यतः सर्वारम्भपरित्यागी यो मद्भक्तः स मे प्रियः यो न हृष्यति न द्वेष्टि न
शोचति न काङ्क्षति शुभाशुभपरित्यागी भक्तिमान्यः स मे प्रियः
समक्षत्रौ च मित्रे च तथा मानापमानयोः शीतोष्णसुखदुःखेषु
समसङ्गविवर्जितः तुल्यनिन्दास्तुतिर्मौनी सन्तुष्टो येन केनचित् अनिकेतस्थिरमतिः भक्तिमान्ये प्रियो नरः ये तु धर्म्यामृतमिदम् यदोक्तं पर्युपासते श्रद्धधानामत्परमाः
भक्तास्तेतीव मे प्रियाः
ॐ तत्सत्
इति श्रीमद्भगवद्गीतासूपनिषत्सु ब्रह्मविद्यायां योगशास्त्रे श्रीकृष्णार्जुनसंवादे भक्तियोगो नाम द्वादशोऽध्यायः।
Devotion to God, that is bhakti, is an integrated spiritual practice, meaning all the three antakarana or inner equipments, namely mind, intellect, and the ego, must participate in it. Although we often said bhakti is an emotional relationship with God at the mental level, intellect and ego is not excluded. Bhakti at the intellectual level is trust. Trust in the benevolent design of nature, the universe. A faith in the benevolent design of the universe, a trust in that. What that means is that the worst of disasters that happens in nature, in the longer scheme of things, in the bigger scheme of things, it is a blessing. So when disaster happens, we have to understand that there is a science, there is a reason behind it. Although we do get affected, we suffer out of it, but we look at it as a disaster only when you look at it from a narrow perspective. Charlie Chaplin said, life is a comedy from a broad shot, from a narrow shot, it is a tragedy. So, a trust in the benevolent design of the universe. At the intellectual level, it is trust. You know that creator has a reason to happen whatever that happens in this world. That is at the intellectual level. At the emotional level, devotion is love. It is identification with everybody. It is a feeling of oneness with everybody. You feel exactly the same way as the other person that you love feel. When the other person is unhappy, you feel sorry, but you're not affected by it, of course. When the other people are happy, you feel happy. That is love. Love is sacrifice at the emotional level. And devotion at the ego level is a spirit of surrender. Remember, ego often doesn't want to surrender. So, surrender to a higher intelligence or surrender to higher intellect. In our practical life, when we don't know something, we surrender to a higher intellect, don't we? We do not know law, we surrender to a lawyer. We do not know medicine, we surrender to a doctor. We do not know plumbing, we surrender to a plumber. Without surrender, you will suffer. Now, in life, when we are not able to handle the difficulties and challenges that we encounter in life, that is when the spirit of surrender must kick in. So at the three level, intellectual level, emotional level, and ego level, bhakti plays. When there is an integrated practice of these three, it becomes complete. Today, bhakti in many people's lives, there is a lopsided approach. Only ritual, only emotion. That is why it doesn't make great impact in their life. So introspect, examine yourself in our life, in the practice of our bhakti. Do all the three aspects play a role? Trust, love, and surrender. Okay. When you have these three, then, as he said in the 17th verse, no grief nor anxiety. Yona hrishyati na dveshti na shochati na kamshati. He who neither rejoices nor hates. He does not grieve, does not regret. Shochati, grief, regret. What is regret? Regret is the memories of your past failures, memories of your past problems coming and interfering your present action, present concentration. All right? Regret, it is a disease of the mind. It is a sign of mental ill health, constant regret. It has nothing to do with whether you have done the wrong thing or not. Meaning, if you have a regretful mind, anything you do, you regret. Good thing or bad thing. You start a business, you regret having started a business, because when you look at somebody else who are working and they have 8 to 5, 8 to 4 job, and he says, I wish I had also done that. And if you are in the business, so if you are in the job, you look at business people and regret why I didn't start the business. If you have a regretful mind, if you got married, you regret why you got married. Understandable. All right. If you did not get married, then also you regret why you didn't get married. Because a regretful mind always look at the other side. As I say, the grass is always greener on the other side. So he says, a bhakta understand that, a devotee understand that it is not what I've done that is causing me that regret, it is my mind. And na kamshati, he does not desire, meaning he does not go through the anxiety of not getting what he wants. So regrets of the past and anxieties or desiring for the future. So in the 17th verse, he discusses 4 qualities referred to the inner being. So the first one is neither rejoices nor hates, meaning he does not become a victim of his own likes and dislikes. All right. No regret, nor anxieties. And he says, Shubha Ashubha Parityagi, one who renounces good and evil. Because thing today is can end up being bad later and vice versa. That's why Jesus Christ said in the Bible, judge not others, resist not evil. Resist not evil. What you thought is evil can end up positive. One who renounces, one who doesn't get worked up when good or bad comes. There is a balanced mind. And he who is full of devotion, bhakti. The word bhakti in Sanskrit is derived from the root bhaja. Bhaja means seek. One who's full of that seeking, one who's full of devotion is dear to me. So when you read these qualities, some of you may be wondering, now these 35 qualities are almost perfection, near God realization. When am I going to master all these 35 qualities? Don't feel dejected, don't feel disappointed. What is important for you to understand is that select those qualities that speaks to you. Select those qualities that really hit you. I'm sure as we're discussing some of these virtues, you feel, that I experience, I like that. Do you feel that? None of these qualities gives you that experience. Doesn't some quality connect with you much deeper than some of the others? Focus upon that. All right. Examine yourself how low or how high you are in that particular quality. For example, daksha, expert, beautiful quality. Every little thing that you need to do in your house, are you depending upon outsiders? Or are you able to put your mind and see if I can do it? Our tendency is that we don't apply ourselves. Daksha, expert. or udasina, unconcerned? Are you very concerned about every Tom, Dick, and Harry, what's happening in their life? If you are very concerned about what's happening in everybody else's life, you'll be a great fan of Facebook. Facebook, by the way, is a fantastic tool, if you use it rightly. Nothing wrong with that. Unconcerned. Let people live their life. What can you do in your life make an impact in other people's life? Udasina, expert. Udasina is unconcerned. Daksha is expert, attentive, skilled, smart, alert, prompt. When we start the Bhagavad Gita class, prompt. Not at 7:05, 7:10. Okay, chanting is not important. I can go after chanting. No. Chanting is a part of the class. Don't rock up at 7:05 or 7:06 and say chanting is not important. I'm only intellectual. No. You got to be prompt on the clock. That is daksha. You don't have to travel 20 kilometers to attend the class. It's you're sitting in your own lounge or wherever it is, isn't it? Daksha. Or are you rushing for every meeting? Are you rushing for every appointment? Then there's something wrong. Some people adjust their watch 5 minutes or 10 minutes faster. The watch is never on time. It's always 10 minutes ahead. Anyone, if you have your watch 10 minutes ahead? Some people half an hour ahead. Anyone of you have your watch half an hour ahead? Yashin? No, you're always on time. I don't have a problem with that. Not only class, even for other meetings. If you are keeping your watch 10 minutes, have you seen people doing that? They keep the watch 10 minutes ahead all the time. If you keep your watch 10 minutes ahead, what that means? Which means you're always 10 minutes late. Always. So, I don't know what is the quality that inspires you. Whichever that appeals to you, try to practice that fullest. Take a few quality, maybe 5 or 10 or 3, whatever it is, and assimilate it with Shraddha. Go to the end of it. Think about it, reflect over it over and over again, assimilate it, and bring those 3 or 5 or 7 virtues in your life, and you will find the entire 35 qualities, that few virtues, percolate into all the other virtues. So don't get dejected at 35. Now we are entering into the 13th chapter soon, right? And you will find another 20 there. Very different. 35 here, 20 there, and when you get to the 16th chapter, another 26 there. My God, when am I going to master all this? If you are a bhakta, choose few from here. If you are a jnani, choose few from 13th chapter or 14th chapter, whichever qualities. There is a 26 qualities a divine person. Another beautiful section. As I told you, from this chapter onwards, it's a real practical Vedanta. I know some of you have fainted reading the 10th and 11th chapter. It was giving you a headache, giving you giddy, wasn't it? Aditi ji, was it true? Did you get giddy?
No, Angajan, Namas Hari Om. I actually enjoyed the 11th chapter.
Oh, okay. All right. Yes, it is actually. It is very emotional, very emotionally connecting. But if you only look at logically, rationally, you can't identify. So if you blend both rationality and emotionality, it is a fantastic, very inspiring. I'm glad. All right. So expert, whichever quality that appeals to you, take that and bring it into your life. That's what is important. So never allow these to overwhelm you. All right. Verse 18.
समः शत्रौ च मित्रे च
समशत्रौ च मित्रे च
तथा मानापमानयोः तथा मानापमानयोः
सुखदुःखेषु शीतोष्णसुखदुःखेषु
समसङ्गविवर्जितः
समसङ्गविवर्जितः
समशत्रौ च मित्रे च तथा मानापमानयोः
शीतोष्णसुखदुःखेषु समसङ्गविवर्जितः. He says, alike to friend and foe. A bhakta is one who's sama shatraucha mitrecha. Tadha mana apamanayoho. Meaning, alike to honor and dishonor. Alike to heat and cold. In pleasure and pain, free from attachment. Another two qualities he's discussing here. Alike to friend and foe. Now, what you need to understand here, it doesn't mean to say that a devotee doesn't have friends. No, what it means is that there is no preferential attachment. Today, what happens is one set of people or a few people we consider they are as your friend because they cater to your need. And some people who don't cater to your need, you are either inimical or it's neutral. But a bhakta, a devotee who understands that today's friend can become tomorrow's enemy. So there is no best friend. You know, when I hear people saying, oh, this is my fast friend. In India, they use the word fast friend. Here, they use the word best friend. Best friend forever. And 6 months later or 1 year later, those best friends become worst enemies. You consider that person as your friend so long as that person is catering to you, your emotion, intellect. You feel a sense of affection towards that person. All right? See, friends or enemy, it is simply an emotional reaction to someone. All right? So a devotee understands, he relates to them accordingly, but internally there is a balance. All right? He relates to the people accordingly. In other words, let's understand this concept from our relationship with animals. There are certain animals that are very timid, very docile. Then there are certain animals that are very aggressive, ferocious, isn't it? A deer, for example, a herbivore, or a cow, or a calf, very meek and gentle, very docile animal. You go and pat them. If it is a fawn, you may even grab them and fondle them, or a bunny, rabbit. You pick up and fondle them. Don't you do that? When you go and see a tiger, all right, what is your attitude towards a tiger or a lion or a king cobra, majestic creature? You will pick up a rabbit or a fawn and fondle it. But will you pick up a tiger, or will you pick up a cobra and fondle it? Very unlikely, unless you are an expert of who's the snake catcher. We always see him in the media. It's amazing how he does it. He's in the area, isn't it? Jason. No, he does it. See, what I wanted to understand is that when you pick up a rabbit and fondle it, but you keep far away from a cobra. You may fondle a cow, but you keep far away from a lion or a tiger. All right? But your internal attitude towards both the animals are same. You appreciate the nature of a tiger is to be ferocious. So you keep far away, but your inner attitude is, do you hate the tiger for its ferocity? Or a tiger, or a lion, or a cobra? You don't, all right? But you appreciate that's a majestic creature, but internally you have a balance. That is what he's talking about, alike to friend and foe. There is no preferential attachment. There are people, when they become friendly and they become fast friends, thick of friends, best friends, and they share everything, very sensitive information, and much later they become inimical, the other person uses that information against you, against a friend. All right, there is no preferential relationship. Of course, different people need a different approach. So alike to friend and foe, honor and dishonor. Alike to honor and dishonor at the intellectual level. All right. What is honor? It is somebody giving you recognition. You feel flattered or you feel honored because you become dependent upon other people's opinion. And some people go to any extent to get that recognition. They don't mind paying a lot of money to get that fame. They donate to charitable institutions, religious organizations, and they insist that their name should be inscribed on the wall or their bust to be fixed on the wall. And when you go to certain institutions or even temple, you feel like it's a graveyard in memory of Mr. So-and-so or Mrs. So-and-so, etc. That is not charity. That is buying fame, buying honor. And some of the names are rather funny. I've seen one of the institutions in India, in memory of Mr. Soda Water Bottle Opener Wala. That's a surname, by the way, in India. In India, you have all kinds of surnames. In memory of Mr. Soda Water Bottle Opener Wala. All right. In memory of Daru Wala. In memory of Ganja Wala. Where? On the temple. All right. By the way, those are all surnames. All right. Honor. You know, what we need to understand that honor or reputation is simply other people's talk. A few people talk about you, you gain a reputation. And the very media, for example, and the very same media don't mind tearing you apart few months later. Because media needs something to talk about. They need something to sensationalize. So a devotee doesn't get carried away. When he's honored, he accepts it objectively. Dishonored, he understands even this will pass away. Unaffected by that, just like an actor on the stage. If somebody were to criticize you, somebody were to gossip about you, in your family circle, do you get affected? If you felt ignored. So he says, alike to friend and foe, honor and dishonor, alike to heat and cold at the physical level. Because there has to be heat and cold, without which nature cannot exist. All right. When the season changes, when the earth spins, that is when the season changes. When there is a change of season, life happens. Without change, if there is only heat, if it's only cold, there is no life. In desert, there is no life because only hot heat or sometimes extreme cold in the night. In the poles, North Pole or South Pole, there is no life because it's only cold. The nature of life is a balance of heat and cold. You got to understand that. Heat and cold at the physical level, in pleasure and pain at the emotional level. The ability to put up with pain. So these are all the pairs of opposites. Remember, the world outside is full of pairs of opposites. You cannot conceive anything without reference to the opposite. When you say tall, which means not short. Dark means it's not bright. There's always an opposite. So if you are attached to one, you get affected by these fluctuations. So at the physical, emotional, intellectual level, he's free from the pairs of opposites. Free from the affectations of the pairs of opposites. And then he says, Sama Sangha Vivarjitaha, meaning free from attachment. A very important quality for we to remember, because today most of our pains come from our attachment. Remember, what you love most will give you maximum pain. Let that be inscribed in your mind. Whatever you love deeply, whatever you are infatuated, attached, obsessed with, will give you maximum agitations and pain. You got to understand the fundamental distinctions between love and attachment. Our most powerful attachment is to our children. And they say that is love. That is far from the truth. Love doesn't give you pain. Love doesn't give you sadness. Love doesn't give you agitation. It is the attachment. You got to understand the reality that your child, or anything for that matter, I'm just taking an example as a child because that is the center of someday or the other will have to leave your household for a better prospect, a better future, to a greener pastures. Pain starts there. It started from Dasharatha's time. Remember, Dasharatha was very attached to Rama. When Rama left Ayodhya in exile, that broke Dasharatha's heart. He was devastated. He couldn't bear it. Eventually, he died out of, in today's context, I'll say cardiac arrest. When you are attached to your children, your life becomes children-centric. You do everything centered around children. Children becomes your purpose. When the children move away into career, marriage, thereafter you become purposeless. You feel hollow. Inside. Whereas when you love your child, you are concerned, no doubt. There is no sadness. You begin to look at your children from the child's perspective, not from your perspective. When you look at you from your perspective, you'll say, I miss my child. I'm not being heartless. I'm only explaining the concept of attachment here. When you say, I miss my child, very carefully analyze that statement. I miss my child. What are you missing? Are you missing your child? When you say, I miss my child, your son or daughter, very carefully analyze the statement. Are you missing your child? Are you thinking or are you stunned? Trusha?
Hari Om Angajan ji.
Hariyo?
Yeah, we say we miss our children, but we actually just missing the joy or the love that they brought to us. So it's more of a selfish
It is. It's
reasoning.
spot on.
Yeah.
You're not missing the child, you are missing what your child is giving you. All right. What is attachment? Attachment is when a person caters to you physically, emotionally, or intellectually, you develop a feeling of affection to that person. All right. When somebody catered to you physically, emotionally, intellectually, you develop a feeling of affection to that person, right? So when that person's catering to you is reduced, what happens to your affection? Thereby, your mic is not working.
It's working, Angajanji. Hari Om.
Okay, go ahead.
Repeat that question. Sorry, I was typing an answer to you.
All right, no problem. I was asking that when somebody is catering to your physical, emotional, intellectual needs, you develop an affection to that person.
Correct.
All right. This is what love, which is far from love, which is infatuation. When that person catering to you is reduced, what happens to your affection?
It dwindles.
Affection dwindles, right? And when that affection, when that person don't cater to you anymore, he or she doesn't cater to you physically, emotionally, intellectually at all, what happens?
Then detachment sets in.
I wish it was.
Are you then referring to anger and frustration?
You begin to hate that person.
Okay.
Because that person doesn't cater to you. All right. So when you say infatuation, when you say attachment is perverted love. It is the opposite of love, that is hatred. But so long as the person is catering to you physically, emotionally, intellectually, you have affection. That's it. So therefore, he says, attachment breeds sorrow. Swami Ramatirtha, in his book, In Woods of God Realization, he explains very categorically, very vehemently. He says, quote unquote, when you are uncontrollably attached to something, when you are obsessed with something uncontrollably, you will lose the object or the person. Attach, you lose. Detach, you gain. So attachment is selfish love. Attachment is love polluted by selfishness. So you look at it from your point of view. You lose the object of attachment. So he says, free from attachment.
Angajanji.
Yes, there. Go ahead.
So I have a little bit of curveball to throw in. So, we get married and after a year or two or maybe longer, we decide we're going to have children so that we can, I suppose it's to bring happiness into our lives, etc. The obviously noble intention, obviously, to have children for procreation, not necessarily for what they bring to the relationship, but we as humans, we have children so that they bring that bit of love and affection and completeness to a family. So based on that, would it be fair to say that we should practice that detachment from our children, etc.? We can't love our children?
Wait. Detachment doesn't mean absence of love. Detachment means true love. regardless of that person catering to you, your affection, your love doesn't change. Are you understanding?
Yes, yes, I'm with you.
So detachment doesn't mean absence of love. Detachment means deeper love, true love. Detachment means your love minus selfishness. Are you understanding?
Yes.
So you allow your child to be who he is, what she is. But today, in the name of affection to our children, very often we try to live our dreams through our children. Haven't you heard people say this? You know, I always wanted to be a doctor. I couldn't be a doctor, so you go to medical school. Hmm? So when you say you get married, you have children, that is perpetuate. See, having a child is not just for your personal reason, it is to perpetuate the human race. All right. If you are a one couple, you are happy with each other, you have noble virtues, you have noble values. We want such more people of similar in the world. So you reproduce, procreate. So parenting is all about a process of manufacturing your future generation. By the way, we have announced a parenting workshop. I'm sure you've received the flyers, right? Please pass the message around. There are a lot of parents who needs it. All right. For the young parents to do the right thing, for the older parents to correct the wrong thing you have done. So it helps both. All right. And prospective parents not to make any mistakes. So it appeals to all the three types of parents. Okay. Because it is a preparation. Parenting starts before the child is even conceived. A lot of people don't understand it that way. All right. So it's appeal to everybody. So what are we saying? That when you have a child, right? Detachment doesn't mean that you don't love the child. Detachment means you love the child for what he is or what she is. When you're attached to the child, your relationship with the child is based on your expectation. When your expectations are not met, the erstwhile affection to the child becomes hatred. Does that make sense thereby?
It does, Angajanji, but I seriously can't believe there are parents out there that hate their children.
You haven't come across parents who hate the children? Not so long as children behave the way they want them to behave. The moment children were to go against the wishes of the parents, against what the parents want them to be, they send them out of the house. In other words, when you're attached to a child, you cannot parent your child effectively. You'll make a mess of it. Because the two types of parents. One set of parents become control freak. They constantly control. Another set of parents, they play popularity contest. They feel if I control the child will dislike me. So you do what you want. You know, total freedom, licentious, both are wrong. Both are product of attachment. And I can understand your problem of not understanding this concept of attachment, all right? Love is a concern. You will be concerned about your child. Attachment produces anxiety. Okay? Love doesn't produce anxiety. It is the attachment that produces anxiety, stress. So, Sangha Vivarjitaha. Now, it is not only the child that we get attached to. Of course, the child is the strongest attachment. Material object we get attached to. The moment you're attached, you not only spoil your relationship with that person, you can also spoil your relationship with the other people. Attachment produces constant anxiety. Sama shatrauja mitreja tadha manapamaneyoho shitoshna sugadukkeshu sama sangha vivarjitaha. Now, the question is, in practical terms, how do you practice detachment? All right. Krishan, there's only one terms we can practice detachment, which is only practical terms. Detachment is meant to be practiced. All right. I know what you're asking. See, the truth is that you cannot detach. Detachment is impractical. So, to answer your question, in practical terms, how do you practice detachment? My answer to you is you cannot practice detachment. Then what can you do? Then what am I talking? Then what is Bhagavad Gita is talking? You can only get attached. That is, when you are attached to something higher, when you have a higher goal, a higher purpose, then you automatically develop detachment from the lower. All right? Family is not the problem. Our attachment to the family is the problem. As I mentioned you time and again, for most people, their life revolves around the family only. Their spouse, children, dog. Sometimes parents also included. They can't think beyond. Attachment to higher means you have a purpose in life. Ask yourself, as this philosopher said, there are two important days in your life. Mark Twain said, there are two important days in your life. One is the day you are born, and the other is the day you discover why. You have a purpose. You're born to fulfill a purpose. And purpose means something that satisfies the interest of larger number of people. Purpose means you are being less selfish. If you are working for a company, attachment means you're only focusing upon your salary, your income. Purpose means what value can I add to this company, which in turn adding value to the society or the city. So you cannot practically detach. Your mind needs something to cling on. All right? Your mind cannot do without something to cling on to. There's always something we need to cling on. If it is children, if not children, it is a vehicle. If not a vehicle, if it is, it could be money. If not money, it could be fame. If it is not fame, it is, I don't know, something else. There's always something that you're attached to. So how do you practice detachment? You need to have a higher ideal, a higher purpose. Higher means something beyond one's own personal interest. That's all that we need to do. Just as a child, a toddler, he needs a toy. The child is so attached to the toys, You cannot take the toys away from the child, nor can you take the child away from the toys. It's attached. You cannot say detach from the toys. Instead, introduce a better quality toy. All right. What is that? What is a better quality toy for a child? I don't know what is the latest toys available. What's the latest trend now? I'm looking at most of you. Most of you have older children. The youngest I know is Nirod and Miksha. Nirod? Youngest child you have.
Yeah, bro.
Hariom?
Yeah, I would think gadgets, phones, iPads for now.
Drones. Miksha. Nirod, you're far behind. Mikshan says drones.
Not
Very
yet, not
sophisticated child. Mikshan, correct. I mean, olden days, 10 years ago, I used to say tricycle. Children won't even look at those days now. Isn't it? Or a bicycle. All right. When the child gets so fascinated by the drones, all right, it's no more what do you call this, video game, etc. The child is not interested in the toys. Revati is two-wheeler. I don't know if Revati can drive two-wheeler. You can. Or Revati says she can. All right.
Sorry, yeah, referring to that little thing she was moving on in your house.
Oh, hoverboard, okay.
I don't know what the name is.
All right, hoverboard, all right. All right, two-wheeler. All right, so the hoverboard that the children, there's something that the child get attached to, and then the child grow up into what do you call this, drones, and after drones, Mikshan?
Faster thing, maybe cars, bikes.
Cars or bikes, right? When the child is experiencing the joy of riding a bicycle, I'm sorry, bike or a car, it's not interested in drones anymore. It's not interested in toys. And when the child becomes late teens or early 20s, the child gets a new toy. And that is all the time around the new toy.
The girlfriend, bro.
A partner. All right. Then the drone is not interested. The child was so attached to the drones. No, the child will never allow anybody else to touch it. The toys, the child so attached to, not interested. The cars, not interested. Or the video game, the child is not interested. The new attachment is a partner, a friend, girlfriend or boyfriend. What happened? So when he experiences a better pleasure, automatically detached from the lower. This is the law of attachment. All right. So therefore, Krishan, you need to do two things. All right. One is attach to something higher. All right. This is called the law of attachment. The second thing that you need to practice is what I would call the law of displacement. You heard of the law of displacement, Krishan? Okay.
No, Shri Angajan, I haven't heard of that.
You haven't heard of that. Okay, let me explain to you. Okay. So law of attachment is clear, right? You attach to something higher, automatically you detach from the lower. So you keep attaching, and final attachment is attachment to God, attachment to your ultimate ideal, attachment to your ultimate purpose. Then you get detached from everything else. That is the sages and saints, the rishis and munis, only contemplating upon the Supreme. They have no other interest. That is the law of attachment, right? The law of displacement is here is a man who comes home in the evening after a grueling, busy day at work, tired, and he takes a glass and pours his alcohol, his whiskey in the glass. Don't look at me very surprised. I'm still talking spiritual. Okay. So he pours whiskey in the glass. Then what does he do? You don't know. After pouring the whiskey in the glass, what does he do? All of you are great sadhus and some never heard of whiskey in your life, right? Hello? When they pour whiskey in the glass, what do?
Where we would pour the water.
For the water. Okay.
Dash.
Who said that?
Nirodh.
Nirodh.
Hariom, they sniff it.
Throw rocks. Okay. On the rock. Okay. All right. They throw rocks. All right. They put ice in it. All right. That's what they're called, on the rocks. All right. You wait for the ice to melt, and you keep putting ice in the glass of whiskey. What happens? Krishan, what will happen?
Shri Angajanji, it would get diluted.
Alcohol gets diluted, correct? You continue to put ice in the alcohol, wait for it to melt it, it gets further diluted, and you continue to put the ice cube in the alcohol, it gets diluted, and what will happen? What will happen, Krishan?
It won't be alcohol anymore. It will be completely diluted and you only have water.
Right. The alcohol gets diluted more and more and more. Eventually, it gets displaced. If you keep putting ice in the glass, the mixture of alcohol and water begin to get displaced, and you continue putting ice in it. A time will come, alcohol gets completely diluted. It's no more alcohol, it's pure water. Or the content of alcohol is so insignificant you don't even feel it. That is called the law of displacement. Now apply that principles to our mind. At the moment, our mind has a lot of attachment to things and beings. All right. It could be attachment to our family member, spouse or children, or it could be attachment to an animal which is also a family member, that is your dog or pet. I know a family in India, known to me very well. So they had a dog, very, very lovely dog. You know, dogs are, by the way, so loyal. That's why most people keep dog as the pet, because so sacrificial. By the way, in Vedanta, Vedas are represented by dogs. The 4 Vedas are represented by dogs because dogs are the most faithful animals. So this family trained the dog for, I don't know, about a month or so to keep away from them. All right. So eventually they left the dog with the family and they went to holiday to Australia for a month. And 1 day passed, 2 days passed, 2 days passed. The dog stopped eating. No training, nothing. The dog is very sensitive. And a week later, dog did not eat. It was so depressed. And the family is also depressed. And a week later, this family reported this is what's happening to the dog. And they canceled the holiday and came back. There are so many things that we can get attached to. So what we are saying is that you keep adding the knowledge of Vedanta. All right. So the adding the ice cube in the alcohol is like adding the knowledge of Vedanta. So when you continue to assimilate these values, that's knowledge and wisdom, what happens is negative thoughts gets displaced from your mind. All right. So when you continue to assimilate, reflect, contemplate with full of Shraddha, devotion, not casually, not lightly, not when you like it, not when it is convenient to you, you make it a commitment that this is the time for me. That is Tuesday evening and everyday morning hours. So when you assimilate these higher values, the lower values get displaced, as simple as that. So these are the 2 things that you can do to practice detachment. All right. Otherwise, the mind will need something to cling on to. Just like a dog. Dog always need a bone or something to cling on to. Our mind also needs that. So, number 1, higher ideal. Number 2, assimilation of spiritual knowledge, the knowledge of Vedanta. And you find the negativities get displaced. Okay. So, Sangha Vivarjitaha. That is why our mind is compared to monkeys. I told you, by virtue of its 2 characteristics, mind is compared to monkeys because, number 1, monkeys are very possessive animals. We always see monkeys around. The baby monkey clings on to the mother's stomach. And it appears, there was an experiment that is done. All right. They placed a mother and a baby monkey in a glass jar. All right. And the mother monkey was very protective of the baby monkey, naturally. And they started pouring water into the jar. And they gradually increased the level of water. When they went on increasing the level of water, and the monkey was very protective of the baby, a time came when the monkey, he cannot hold on to the walls of the glass jar because it's very slippery. A time came when the mother monkey know that it cannot survive itself. What the monkey did is, the monkey placed the baby monkey on the floor and started standing on it, just to save itself. You understand what I mean? Our mind is like that. So mind can be selfish, it's attached. That's number 1. Number 2, the nature of the mind monkey is keep jumping from one place to the other. The monkey can never stay in one place. Not too long, maybe a minute or 2. So our mind is also like that. The 2 types of movement, it is called Asthira and Chanchala. Asthira means movement from one place to the other. Chanchala means movement in one place. So our mind keeps jumping from one thought to the other. Even if you give a point of concentration, the mind is restless. Because of that nature, our mind is compared to monkeys. So asthira and chanchala, the two types of movement of the mind, like monkeys. One is movement from one place to the other. That is, our thought keeps moving from one thought to the other. Even in a point of concentration, just as the monkey is very fidgety, very restless, our mind is also restless. All right. So my monkey gets very attached. So also our mind. Ramayana is full of stories relating to monkeys, represents our mind. All right. We will continue next Tuesday. Okay. We'll conclude with a short meditation. Relax. Make sure that you're comfortable in the sitting position with your back, neck, and head straight in one line. Your eyes gently closed. Feel the silence. Just indulge in that silence. Absorb it. Visualize a calm and steady lake. Visualize cloudless sky. Visualize snow-capped mountain. Visualize an infant in deep sleep. Shift your focus onto your breathing. Breathe normally. Focus on your breathing. Feel the cold air as you inhale and warm air as you exhale. We will chant the mantra Om. Breathe in. Om. Absorb the silence. Breathe in. Shanti, Shanti, Shanti. Thank you. See you on Tuesday.